Namaste, namaskaram, vanakkam, namo namaha, jai Ganesha. The striking similarities between Ganapati and Santa Claus. But first things first. Please, Hindus, remember that we as Hindus do not celebrate Christmas. For what is Christmas? Christmas truly is the celebration of the birth of Jesus Christ, whom Christians consider to be the one and only Son of God, or God himself, and the only way to salvation. Certainly, this is not what Hindus believe. Now, true, today's world has become very secular and very often completely distorts religious teachings and principles, such as the yoga of Hinduism, which has been almost completely divorced from the Hindu yoga dharma. But truly, Christmas is the Christian celebration. Many at this time of the year, and especially in the West, to them Christmas simply means Santa Claus and trees and presents and office parties and parades. And actually, none of this has anything to do with Christianity at all. This is simply a festive holiday celebration. And therefore, people who do not truly celebrate Christmas, the birth of Christ, should not be saying Merry Christmas to each other, but rather Happy Holidays, for this is respecting both Christianity and Hinduism. There's a campaign, and it's relatively recent, but especially in the West, at this time of year, one will see signs on people's lawns which read, "Keep Christ in Christmas." Now, at first glance, one may say, well, it's already there. It's in the word, Christmas. But what these Christians truly mean, and I concur with them, that if one is going to celebrate Christmas, the Mass of Christ, they should truly do that and celebrate their Savior, Jesus Christ. Making Christmas simply something secular is very insulting to Christians, just as taking the yoga out of Hinduism is insulting to thoughtful Hindus. The thoughtless use of Xmas is extremely insulting. They're taking the Christ out of the Christmas, but actually how thoughtless, because they're taking out the Christ and leaving in the Mass, which is the Catholic ritual. Growing up in America, for us, we misused the word Christmas, but it was all about Santa Claus and Christmas trees, a misnomer, and mistletoe and giving presents and buying presents for others and family gatherings. So this has actually nothing to do with Jesus or Christianity at all. Even the so-called Christmas tree, that is a holdover from the ancient Druid tradition of the Celtics, where they would go out into the forest and worship the evergreen tree. And though there was apparently a Saint Nicholas, the Santa Claus of today has absolutely nothing to do with Jesus or Christianity at all. So, keeping these thoughts in mind, as Hindus, let's look at some of the amazing similarities between this holiday celebration, and that is the proper term that we should be using rather than Christmas. Look at the very name Santa. Santa is a Sanskrit word. Shanta, Santa, peace. And remember, in the Hindu yoga dharma, sometimes we use the H and sometimes we don't, such as Hindu, or Shanta, Santa, or Shanti, Santi, Siva, Shiva, Sakti, Shakti. So Santa is a Sanskrit word for peace. And Santaya is a word for Ganesha, meaning bringer of peace. Nicola is Sanskrit for the deity of all. So Santa Nicola, wow, that's pretty close to Saint Nicholas or Santa Claus. Now let's look at the birthplace of Ganesha, Mount Kailash, the highest mountains in the Himalayas. And look at the tales of Santa Claus from the North Pole, the snowy North Pole, Mount Kailash, the Himalayas. Let's look at Ganesha's form. He has a large belly, Santa Claus, too. He has a merry, happy look on his face. Ganesha Puja always brings out a sense of good humor for all. Ganesha is also very close to the children and loves the child in all of us. And when we look at Ganesha's trunk, could that have been replaced by the long beard? And Ganesha holds the pasa, the rope, like the reins, perhaps, of the reindeer. Ganesha also is the gatekeeper and the ringer of the bell, as Santa also rings bells. And amazingly, mice are part of the holiday Christmas story with Santa Claus, not using the word Christmas, of course. And of course, Ganesha's friend is Mushika. And at this holiday time, children leave cookies and milk out for Santa Claus. Ganesha loves laddus, which are basically cookies and milk. Santa often sits on a throne and listens to the wishes of the children. Ganesha sits on his throne, and he listens to our wishes. Santa Claus wears red and white. Red and white is the color of Saivite Hinduism, Ganapati Muruga Shiva Shakti. And in Ho Ho Ho, could that be Om Om Om? Now, we'll talk about a fairly recent Hindu festival called Pancha Ganapati. But before we do that, let's look at a very famous holiday poem that is read at this time of year. 'Twas the night before Christmas, but we're going to title this 'Twas the Night Before Pancha Ganapati. And if you read the original poem, it's amazing how many similarities there are to Ganapati and Hinduism and Hindu Puja, for example. 'Twas the night before Pancha Ganapati, when all through the ashram, not a creature was stirring, not even a mushika. The saris were hung by the altar with care, in the hope that Santa Nicola soon would be there. The children were nestled all snug in their beds, while visions of devas danced in their heads. And Mata in her kerchief, and I in my cap, had just settled into meditation for a long winter's nap. When out on the mandapam there arose such a clatter, that I sprang from my yogasana to see what was the matter. Away to the window I flew like a flash, tore open the shutters and threw up the sash. The Purnima moon on the breast of the new-fallen snow gave a luster of midday to the objects below. When what to my third eye did appear but a temple car and 8 tiny vahanas so dear. With a little bala driver so lively and quick, I knew in a moment he must be Santa Nick. More rapid than Garudas, his courses they came, and he whistled and shouted and called them by name. Now Mushika, now Moil, now Nandi Simha, all Hindu Vahanas. To the top of the Vimana, to the Kalasam, now fly away, let's all have some fun. As leaves that before the wild hurricane fly, when they meet with an obstacle, to Ganesha they cry. So into the Deva Loka they flew, with the Dharma of joy, and Santa Nicola too. And then in a twinkling I heard from my sadhana the prancing and pawing of each little padha. As I looked into my head and was turning around, down the chakras Santa Nicola came with a bound. He was dressed in red and white from his head to his foot, and his body was covered with holy ashes, verbut. A bundle of joy he did present, as we looked at his belly so full and content. His eyes how they twinkled, his face so merry, his cheeks were like roses, his nose like a cherry. His little elephant mouth was drawn up like a bow, and his trunk reminded us to be strong, flexible, and sensitive, you know. The stump of a tusk he held in one hand, and incense encircled around his merry band. He had a broad face and a little round belly that shook when he laughed like a bowl full of coconut jelly. He was a jolly and plump, a right jolly Devata, and I laughed when I saw him. Ah, the joy of Dharma! A wink of his eye and a twist of his head soon gave me to know I had nothing to dread. He spoke not a word, but went straight to his work, karma, and filled us with Jyoti, Shakti, Shanti in the sight of Atma. And laying his finger aside of his nose, he taught us pranayama. Up the Kundalini we rose. Then he joined with his family, Muruga, Shiva, Parvati, and away they all flew north back to Mount Kailashi. And we heard them chant the mantra Om as they flew out of sight. Happy Pancha Ganapati to all, and to all a great insight. So this time of year is a very festive time of year. And what do Hindus do? Well, there is a traditional celebration that lasts all month into December for the young Ganapati Pillayar, especially in the south of India. Pillayar, the young Ganapati. For this is a time of year that brings out youthfulness in all of us, for this truly is, especially in the colder climes, the season of Raja Yoga, meditation, contemplation, as we go in and in and in. And of course, all of our yogas and our utsavas, our festivals, follow us right up the chakras. And so at this time of year, we're entering into the head of meditation, contemplation, Raja Yoga, which will culminate with Shivaratri. But note Ganesha's big head. And again, in colder climes, this is all you see when you're outside. Everything else is covered up, from gloves to socks to boots to heavy coats. All you see is someone's head, their face. So this time of year, as we go within, we as Hindus can recognize the wisdom of Ganesha and the childlike, divine, loving warrior spirit that's within all of us. Now, in the Hindu yoga dharma, especially as people have traveled from India around the world, and especially many Indians that have moved to America and actually been born now in America, many Hindu children often feel left out at this time of year when Christians and Jews are celebrating Christmas and Hanukkah and the seculars' happy holiday celebrations. So there was actually a celebration that was created about 50 years ago, and about 50 years ago, there were not many Indians or hardly any Hindu temples in America at all. So this celebration was actually, I believe, it was started by some of the swamis from the Hawaii ashram. And they called it the Pancha Ganapati celebration, the 5 days of Ganesha. And this is traditional, actually, for Ganesha. There is a 5-faced Ganesha, Panchmukhi Ganapati. And the 5 is very symbolic. It has many wonderful meanings. The 5 actually stands for the different coverings that we have. We have the Annamaya Kosha, the food covering. We have the Pranamaya Kosha, the breath covering. We have the Manamaya Kosha, the mind itself. The Vijnanamaya Kosha, the inner wisdom of the superconscious mind. And the Anandamaya Kosha, the soul itself. These 5 sheaths or coverings. And again, it is Ganesha's wisdom that helps us to comprehend these coverings. And also, the sacred number 5 stands for being brave and being authentic, being affectionate, expressing love, and renunciation. Vira, Satya, Priya, Ananda, Sannyas. And also, if we look at the human hand, strong hands, sensitive hands, expressive hands. And what is Ganesha's hand? It is his Vilambita Sutra, his trunk, which is strong and flexible and sensitive. But our human hands are so expressive, and with our love of acronyms, we can say Hindu, Atma, Niyama, Dharma, H-A-N-D, Hindu, Atma Darshana is our goal. and we cultivate our dharma. Hindu, Atma, Niyama, Dharma. And in Sanskrit, the word for hand is hasta. This could be Hindu. Om, Samadhi, Turiya, Atma. All the wisdom is right here at hand. The wisdom is at our nose with our breath, the in and the out. It's with our eyes and the black hole at the center of the eyes. The hands, the breath, the eyes. So Pancha Ganapati also stands for Ganesha's 5 primal Shaktis, and like concentric circles, they build one upon the other. The first is harmony with family, harmony with friends, harmony in our business life, a love of culture, and a love of the divine. And notice that the divine is the last circle, but that is because that is the overriding circle that really is control of everything else. Family, friends, business, love of culture, love of the divine. So this Pancha Ganapati festival was created to begin at December 21st, which is actually the winter solstice day. So from the 21st to the 25th, one can focus on these 5 primal Shaktis: family, friends, business, love of culture, love of the divine. And often people will give presents on those days from the 21st to the 25th. First day is to focus on family. Second day, friends. Third day, office parties perhaps, business. Fourth day, love of culture, refinement, go to puja, watch a beautiful play, listen to beautiful music. And then the 5th day is the divine day, 25th. So in this way, many Hindus, and especially Hindu children born in the West, can say, yes, we have a celebration also. So when people say Merry Christmas to them, Hindus can say, well, thank you, but that is not our celebration. We could say Happy Pancha Ganapati to you, or simply say Happy Holidays. And it can be a very stressful time of the year as families get together, which is the most difficult one. Note that that's the first Shakti to conquer. But with our fellow human beings, you will find perhaps that they will be very understandable. So if they perhaps say Merry Christmas to you, just simply say Happy Holidays to them. Or if you have time to have a discussion with them, you can say, well, that's really not our celebration as Hindus. We celebrate Pancha Ganapati, or we celebrate Pilayar, the young Ganapati. So have a wonderful family celebration. Get together with your friends. Appreciate your business colleagues. Love your culture. And seek the divine within. Atmadarshana paramo dharma tattvam asi. Have a wonderful holiday season and a very happy Pancha Ganapati. As a postscript, we want to remember that December 25th was simply an arbitrary day for the birth of Jesus. Remember, historians believe that obviously there was a Jewish rabbi named Yeshua who spoke Aramaic, and later his name, after he died, was changed to Jesus and his religion to Christianity. And they believe that he was actually born more in the spring or the summer months. But when Christianity became the state religion and gained its power, Emperor Constantine of Rome converted from Mithraism, which actually goes right back to Hinduism, because Mithra is the first aspect of Surya, the solar deity, Mitraya Namaha, the friend. When he converted from Mithraism to Christianity, he made December 25th, which was Mithra's birthday, now the birth of Jesus Christ. So while our religious traditions and stories have some fact, but they also have a lot of symbolic fiction, which is very meaningful, actually. Symbolism is very powerful in life. They can be very meaningful to us. We want to take them seriously, but not too seriously, and enjoy our many festivals throughout the year, respecting the different religions of the world and not crossing the line. We don't want to mix, for example, Christianity and Hinduism together, which is really something that you see in the Paramahansa Yoga, Nanda organization, Kriya Yoga, and many, ironically, Vedanta Swamis often confuse God and Lord and institute that or into Hinduism, which is really very confusing at best to everybody. It's insulting both Christians and Hindus. We want to be true to who we are and then respect our fellow human beings on the planet. So have a wonderful holiday season and follow the Dharma and respect your fellow human beings. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.